What is up, YouTubers? You're gonna have to excuse me. I'm starting supper. Getting ready to make some jalapeno sour cream, bacon. But anyway, you're gonna have to kind of excuse me. I'm in the process of making supper and things. I just kind of wanted to touch base a little bit on Shauna's video the other day, and then my video about that financial freedom, and I think we need to get back to basics. I think a lot of us take things for granted anymore. I think we need to get back to growing our own produce, our own stuff. It's surprising how much you can save yourself this day and age, especially doing the stuff. You'll have to excuse me, I'm washing my hands here. We always wonder, how we can change things. For the better. We kind of live, some of us live, or we all have a tendency to live a lavish lifestyle, and we don't save for tomorrow. We don't take into consideration, if something come up. And that's all I'm saying is, we really need to focus on what direction, what things, we can change ourselves for the better. Life isn't always peaches and cream, and you take what you get, and that's my biggest deal right now is if you can work on it, get out of debt. And I think we need to get back to the basics of growing our own gardens. Tomatoes, corn. I remember Grandma doing that. We done our own chickens. I would spend the summer up there, and a lot of times they would can, and we'd all get together and do it together as a family. And I think it brought the family closer together. And you learn from the older what to do, what not to do. I wished I'd have paid a little bit more attention about that, but that's just part of life. But overall, I think we should focus on what we can change, not it's more and more prevalent, the things that I see that we take for granted. A lot of times, I don't know, I seen today, I went to the employment office and how we are totally controlled. If you don't do what the slave or slave masters want, you're not going to get a job. You're not going to, and it really surprised me that now, even on the applications and things, that they ask you about your finances. In my opinion, it's none of their business, and that I think they judge people on that. And it tells you on there that they will contact you, or they have to contact you before they do a background check or finances or whatever, but it's still the fact that it's there. That's just another way of control. And that's all I'm saying. If you're self-employed, be grateful that you're self-employed and you don't, excuse me, have to give all that information. And you know, it's been several years since I've had to do that, but it was just one of them things I chose to, you know, I want to get some more money rolling in here, so I had to do that. But back to what we were talking about. You really need to focus on what you can control, what, you know, what part of the, you know, your finances and things that you can, and this is harder than it looks, guys, cutting and doing this, but, yeah, it's just better to have financial freedom if you can, and not depend on somebody else. And you know, if you can get out of debt and, you know, get back to the basics of, you know, you being your own, you know, not being indebted to the system, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's so much, and to a certain extent you have to be, but sorry about that. I thought somebody was here knocking at the door, but you know, that's the main thing, is just get out of debt. Don't owe more than you really have to. If you can, get the things paid for and move on. Don't be a slave, what I call a debt slave. And I'm one of the world's worst to talk about that, but if the more they can get you in debt, the more they can have you making payments and things. They own you. No matter how you look at it, you're a slave. You're a slave to the system, you're a slave to your creditors, you're a slave to your job. I had a supervisor one time tell me that he enjoyed when people would drive up in a new truck or a new car or whatever, because he said, I know that they're going to be at work every day. And he said, you know, no matter what he did or whatever, he said, I knew they wasn't going to just walk out on him. So he pretty much had them. You know, that's bad to look at it that way, but that's bad to see, but he knew how the system worked. And that's all I'm saying, guys, is just get yourself out of debt. Don't do anything to where it would jeopardize your health and things. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is getting your health right. My wife had just told me the other day that a gentleman she worked with was 29 years old, just finished law school, got a very good job, and I think it was just a little bit after he graduated, had a heart attack, or excuse me, it wasn't a heart attack, it was diabetes. He hadn't been watching it, but it topped out and it took him at a very young age. And you know, things shouldn't be that way. He had everything going for him, and you know, he chose not to take care of his diabetes, and that's what kind of affected him. And I see a lot more younger people. I have a friend that's a lot younger than I am, and he's had 2 heart attacks. So, if you can get your health right in that, please do. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted here a little bit, but doing the jalapenos, so this is my favorite thing, is jalapenos. But yeah, if you can get everything taken care of and get out of debt, don't fall in the trap. We all have a tendency, especially I know when I was younger, that I thought credit was the best thing ever. But I didn't realize that, and I don't think a lot of young ones, because I don't think they've taught you that in school, and that's part of it. I think they want to entrap you in the system. And, we all have a tendency of falling into that trap and getting into debt. She showed you a chart. If you watched her whole video all the way through, she showed you a free, debt-free thing. And mine would be, where hers was in the red, mine would be way below that. Plus, at the top where it said the debt part, mine would probably be way above that. But that's just one of them things, I chose to get in that situation, working on getting out of it. But if you can, you need to free your debt up, get out of debt. Don't create any more. If you can, in my opinion, get you some gold and silver. I know that's hard to say. It's even hard for me to say. And sometimes you got to get into your, what do I want to say, your kitty. But that don't mean that you can't come back and, start over. Usually with my jalapenos, I put the oven on 400. And being I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I might as well just tell you what I do with my jalapenos. I usually use a glass dish. I kind of bought the cheaper bacon this time. It was inexpensive. I may use more, but it's just a little bit of sour cream. And depending on how hot it wants, sometimes I keep some of the seeds and I'll mix in with the sour cream and my cheese and stuff. I don't make them too hot because of Mom. Sorry about that. A lot of times I'll use the pepper jack cheese. It has a little, adds a little more spice to it. And then I buy the fajita blend mix cheese also. I use a couple different types of cheeses. Excuse me. A lot of times I'll just take the cheese and stuff. And then I just figure out how much sour cream I need. Sometimes I'll go overboard, but most of the time I get it pretty right on. And this is the messy part. I mess up the kitchen doing this. Sometimes I get, like I said, carried away. And I'll make one or two and then I'll get off here and let you guys. I have a friend that does do this. I choose not to do it, but he'll take the little, like beanie weenies and things and stick in there and then wrap it with bacon. But that gets real expensive doing them that way. And I'm trying to get out of inexpensive. And that's why I'm trying to grow my own jalapenos. I usually take my cooking scissors, and it depends on how, you know, I try to cut them in half, and sometimes I'll cut them that way depending on the bacon. But then I usually take the bacon and just kind of wrap them once or twice, and then just put them in the glass deal. And it looks like I'm gonna have quite a few here. But then I just stretch it, kind of wrap it. Oh, I can taste them now. They'll be good with a can of beer. But usually I get two out of the deal, and I'll just take my bacon if I get it and just and usually a lot of times I'll go back and sprinkle some more cheddar cheese, or I will sprinkle the bacon bits on top. It's up to you how you want to do it. That pepper jack cheese is going to make these a little bit hotter. I can already tell you. It's got a little bit of bite to it, so, but I like to use the thicker bacon. That's what I'm using right now. I don't know, it's something that we had left over, but And there's my homemade. Take a potato, cut them up, frying them up. Got some steak here, cut it in half because Mom and my wife don't eat a whole lot. Big one for me. Just kind of wanted to show you guys. In the process, cooking supper. Kept getting interrupted, but there's the jalapenos. Finished them up. Looking good.